There is a glitch in the simulation. Have you felt it? You go to the grocery store, and everything costs 30% more than it did 3 years ago. You hear about layoffs in tech, housing is unaffordable, and the average consumer is drowning in credit card debt. Logic dictates that the economy is struggling. Yet, if you look at the S&P 500, we are partying like it's 1999. The disconnect between the economy and the stock market has never been wider. Welcome to 2026. We are standing on the edge of a financial cliff, but nobody can agree if we are about to fly or fall. Today, we are not just looking at charts. We are performing an autopsy on the financial system to understand the three massive forces pulling your money in different directions. We are going to talk about the AI casino, the mathematical trap hidden inside your index fund, and the government's secret weapon that breaks all the rules of traditional investing. By the end of this video, you will understand why being right about the economy might make you dead wrong about the market. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or rather, the GPU in the room, artificial intelligence. Whether you think AI is the savior of humanity or just a fancy autocomplete, the market has priced it as if nothing else matters. But here is the boring, uncomfortable truth. Math eventually matters. In finance, we use the price-to-earnings ratio, or PE, to measure how much hope investors are buying. Historically, the S&P 500 trades at about 16 times earnings. That's the average. Today, we are hovering near double that. We are seeing companies like Palantir or Datadog trading at multiples that imply they need to grow perfectly for the next decade just to justify today's price. When you buy a stock at 50, 100, or 400 times earnings, you aren't investing in fundamentals. You are pre-ordering a miracle. This is what we call priced for perfection. The danger here isn't necessarily that these are bad companies. The danger is a concept called mean reversion. It's the financial equivalent of gravity. You can defy it for a while with enough rocket fuel, but eventually, the rubber band snaps back. If valuations just normalize to historical averages, the market could drop 30% without a recession, just simply due to the math correcting itself. But wait, you might say, I don't buy individual hype stocks. I'm a responsible investor. I buy the S&P 500 index fund. Well, I have bad news for you. You aren't as diversified as you think. Most modern indices are market cap weighted. This means the bigger the company, the more it influences the index. It's a winner-take-all system. Right now, the Magnificent Seven tech giants account for roughly 1/3 of the entire S&P 500. Think of it like a group project in school. There are 500 students in the class, but 493 of them are sitting in the back doing nothing, while 7 students are doing 100% of the work to keep the class grade point average up. This looks great on paper, but it creates a structural weakness. This concentration creates a dangerous feedback loop. As passive money flows into index funds, it automatically buys more of the top companies, pushing them higher, which increases their weight, which attracts more passive money. It works beautifully on the way up, but if one of these giants stumbles, say Nvidia misses an earnings report, or regulators break up Google, it doesn't just hurt that one stock. It drags down the entire index, and your diversified portfolio goes down with it. The market has become a top-heavy Jenga tower. So, we have a bubble, and we have structural fragility. Why hasn't it crashed yet? Why do the bears keep losing money? Enter the bull case, or as I call it, the infinite money cheat code. While analysts obsess over PE ratios, they often ignore the most potent force in the universe: liquidity. We are entering 2026 with a Federal Reserve that is cutting interest rates. Lower rates mean cheaper money. Cheaper money means investors are willing to take more risks. When the bank gives you 0% on your savings, the stock market becomes the only game in town. But there is a second engine that is even more powerful: the U.S. government. We are currently running a fiscal deficit of over $1 trillion every few months. This is government spending that goes directly into the economy, building roads, funding wars, subsidizing chips. This is why the economy feels weird. We are witnessing a battle between organic growth, which is slowing down, and synthetic growth, fueled by debt and printing. Bears look at the slowing organic growth and scream, recession. Bulls look at the synthetic liquidity and scream, all-time highs. And here is the irony. The worse the organic economy gets, the more the government might spend to prop it up. It is a perverse incentive, where bad economic news becomes good news for stock prices, because it guarantees more stimulus. So, who wins in 2026? The gravity of valuations or the rocket fuel of liquidity? Most people think the market must either crash 50% or rally 50%. But the most painful outcome, the one nobody is positioned for, is the gray zone. A sideways, choppy, zombie market. Imagine a year where the market rallies 10% in a month, sucking everyone in, only to sell off 10% the next month, stopping everyone out. A year of high volatility, but zero net progress. This is the scenario where the buy and hold investors get bored and the active traders get chopped up. As the famous economist John Maynard Keynes said, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. In this scenario, we might see a melt-up in nominal terms, where stock prices go up, but a stagnation in real terms, where inflation eats all your gains. Your portfolio hits a new high, but a Big Mac costs $18. You feel richer, but you can buy less. This is the ultimate illusion. The market doesn't crash, but the value of your money does. So, how do you survive 2026? Stop looking for a hero to save your portfolio. The Fed isn't your friend, and the AI hype machine doesn't care about your retirement. Diversification is boring, but in a casino where the rules keep changing, it's the only armor you have. We are living through a historic experiment. We are testing how far we can detach financial asset prices from economic reality using debt and algorithms. And this leaves me with one question I want you to answer in the comments below. And I really want you to think about this. Is the stock market actually creating wealth? Or is it simply measuring the devaluation of the dollar? Are we geniuses for buying stocks? Or are we just passengers on a sinking ship trying to climb to the highest deck? Let me know your take. If you learned something today, smash that like button. I'll see you in the next one.